So just to start and to make sure everything is clear, we are not actually producers. We worked very closely with a Maison d'Armagnac. We work with the maîtresse de chai to make blends that fits customers' tastes. And the idea behind Armin is like, because we all have a background in the spirit industry. We used to work at Pernod Ricard. And so we're all passionate about this industry and spirits. We are French, and 3 years ago, we realized that we have this marvelous spirit, which is Armagnac, and which is for some reason very like old-fashioned, seen as a very strong spirit. It's a bit dusty as a spirit. I mean, people think it's super dusty. It's the typical drink that your grandfather drank. Everyone knows Armagnac in France, but to make it simple, no one's drink it for the reason I just mentioned. And we were like, this is too bad to have such a good spirit and so little recognition about the spirits. So we decided to team up with this maison in Arthez d'Armagnac. We present them the project, and the idea was to modernize the approach and the image of Armagnac. First of all, with the packaging, which is quite easy, but we made bottles that are very different from the rest of the category. Then the people you talk to. So the idea is I am 33 years old, and the idea was to address our message to younger people who live in cities, girls and men, and finally, which is I think the most important, with the drink strategy. So Armagnac is of course a digestive, but it can be drunk in cocktails, in long drinks, in shots. And at different moments, not only after dinner, by the fireplace. You know, it can be drunk when you go out with friends during an after work, in clubs. So that's why we decided to team up with this domain. And the thing we said to the maîtresse de chai is, we want to try Armagnac and to make love Armagnac people who usually don't drink it. So we want something quite accessible, quite easy to drink, because we consider that Armagnac needs to be drunk by French people, which is not the case at the moment. So yeah, this is in a few words what we're doing. So we created 2 references, 6 years old, which is like a VSOP, and 10 years old, which is XO. Same, we decided not to use this VSOP and XO names, because if you don't know it, no one knows what it means. If you're from the Armagnac or the cognac industry, of course, you know what it is, but otherwise you don't. Just to make the message simple to consumers so they know what they drink. And so the first one, the 6 years old, is made to be drunk with tonic, with soda water, with Coke. It is really, we're not from we're not afraid to break the rules in terms of drink strategy. So sometimes the old school people are saying to us, but guys, you're crazy, you cannot mix Armagnac. And we're saying exactly the opposite. Yes, we can mix Armagnac.
Yeah.
And the important thing is to drink Armagnac no matter the way you drink it. And it doesn't mean that if you drink it in a cocktail or you mix it, that you don't respect the product and the history behind the Armagnac. It's just a different way, a more modern way to drink it. So 6 years old for long drinks, and then 10 years old for more like dry cocktails, more targeted to mixology and these kind of things. So this is, in a few words, what we do with Armin.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got some quite modern packaging as well, haven't you? Which is completely different than traditional packaging on the Armagnac.
Yes.
And also you, as well as no XO or VSOP, also quite often on Armagnac you will find a vintage statement, which you're not doing either.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. The idea was, in a few words, to make it simple to consumers. I mean, you are from the industry, I'm from the industry, so I know when I get a bottle on a shelf, what I drink and what are the information I'm looking for. But I would say random consumer, even if I don't like the word random, if you don't make it simple, if it's not obvious what they're buying, how to drink it, where is it from, they don't get it. So the idea is Armagnac, which is quite a small category, quite confidential, and quite a noble spirit. Well, to try to make it simple, and you don't have to be 60 years old and to be on a big sofa to have an Armagnac and to enjoy it. You can enjoy it in different ways, and Armagnac can be cool actually. We like to compare Armagnac and Cognac with tequila and mezcal, with Armagnac being the little brother, such as mezcal for tequila. Tequila has exploded. It's almost mainstream now, and you have the little brother coming up little by little, which is a bit more craft, a bit more confidential, but it's booming as well. So we're confident that in the future it's going to be the same with Armagnac. Cognac being saturated, and Armagnac, the little brother, super top quality spirits. So yes, that's the bet behind Armin.
And we should also perhaps point, and we know the difference, but perhaps for the readers of the magazine, perhaps you could just point out the differences between Cognac and Armagnac, particularly obviously pot still and column still.
Yeah. Well, actually, the main difference between Cognac and Armagnac is the distillation. Cognac is 3 times distilled. Armagnac it's continuous distillation. With continuous distillation, you get a spirit which is more like, I would say, maybe more difficult, more rush, but in the good term of it. Armagnac, it's not necessarily as sweet as Cognac, because the free distillation give this smoothness that you don't have in Armagnac. But it has a real personality as a spirit. It's a strong spirit with strong character, and that's the particularity of Armagnac. Second difference, it's the cepage, the types of wine you use. At Armin, we mainly use Baco, which is only present in Armagnac. Baco and Uni Blanc, while in Armagnac it's different kind of cepage, of grapes. I was looking for the word in English. And
just
then
blend the varietals.
Yes. And then the production of Cognac is 10 times bigger than Armagnac. Which makes Armagnac even more confidential, even more craft. And last point, it's mostly the terroir which is different. When we speak about terroir, we speak about climate, about grapes, and about people. And people has a strong impact on the spirit they do. And people from Charente in Cognac are different from people in Gascogne. Which make Armagnac and Cognac unique and different. So yes, and then last but not least, Armagnac is Cognac is present. It's distributed all around the world, mostly drunk in China and the US. While Armagnac is so far only in France, mostly only in France. So yeah, these are the difference between the two spirits.
And just talk to me very brief about the continuous still, because it dates from 1804. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's actually the still is the oldest Armagnac still, which is still working in Armagnac. And I'll send you pictures, and maybe you've seen it on the website. It's absolutely wonderful, and is So I'll try to explain you in English. It's basically classified as monument historique, historical monument, which means that nothing can be touched in this still. So it's a piece of art, basically.
Yeah.
Very super impressive. Yeah, it's a piece of art. We like to define it as a piece of art, and so it's still working from 1804, which is absolutely amazing.
And tell me about the barrels. What type of barrels you use for aging?
Yeah, so the barrels, that's an interesting point as well, because all the trees on the domain are used to make the barrels. We use them to age the Armagnac. So it's chêne, which is oak barrels. Oak barrels, so from the domain, and it's made by a gentleman called Gilles Bartholomew, and Gilles Bartholomew is the only one making barrels, the last barrel man of the region, and is being doing barrels for like 40 years. His father was doing barrels. But the sad story is that he's the last one. He has daughters, but they don't want to take over the yeah. So it's I don't know what he still have a bit of time to work, but he's the only one in the region doing barrels, and it makes the Armagnac super craft, because he makes only 4 barrels a day. They're absolutely wonderful. Again, a piece of art, and he's the only one doing barrels in this region.
And are the barrels all new make that you use to raise your Armagnac?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So are they then going off to a whiskey distillery? Do you sell them on to them?
Then once we use them.
Yeah. Do you sell them to a whiskey distillery or?
Yeah. They sold them to other distilleries. And whiskey, yes, because finish it's super popular in whiskey. So yeah, they get the old barrels, which is fun, because finish, which is super popular in the bourbon whiskey industry, and it's totally forbidden in the Armagnac. Everyone has an opinion on that subject. I think it's the finish. You can do very good stuff with good finish, but it's mostly marketing, and it's mostly blending Armagnac with whiskey, and so does that make sense? This is another subject, but yeah, in Armagnac it's totally forbidden.
Yeah, and are they 225-liter barrels?
Yeah.
Cool. And do you specify when you're discussing with Maison Armagnac? Were you discussing the degree of toast you wanted in the barrels, or did you leave it up to them?
Yes, we do. You mean the ABV or?
No, the degree of toast. How charred the barrels are before you receive them.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 different, or maybe more, and it can be like I wouldn't say double charred, but we call it crocodile when it's very charred.
Yeah.
So from crocodile, which is the most, to less charred, and obviously it gives a stronger taste, more vanilla taste, as much charred it is. So yeah, we can discuss it absolutely with Gilles.
And wrapping up, I know on your website you suggest using your Armagnac in an old-fashioned. What other sort of well-known cocktails does it work really well in?
So old-fashioned, it works very well, as we said. Sazerac works very well as well. A very dry cocktail. What else? I would say sour. Armagnac sour is fantastic. And then, so these are for the more complicated, I would say, cocktail. If you don't know about cocktails, you're not able to make a Sazerac, because you need tools at home and this kind of thing. And on the other end, you have long drinks, and typically Armin tonic, works very well. But if I have to pick two, I would say old-fashioned Sazerac, and maybe a smash, which is not too bad, with basil, works pretty well. And actually you can use Armagnac to any cocktails you can make with whiskey or rum. It works with Armagnac, being a brown spirit, and so yes.